your animals. Do you ever wonder what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, right? Well, my name is Lesa Alexander, and I'm an animal communicator and energy healer. And the areas that I mostly work with are one of my specialties is senior and end of life. So I help the animals, I help the people. We find out what the animals are needing through to the very end and through when they pass and even afterwards I go through that whole process so that it is the sacred journey that it is meant to be. I also work with behavior issues and wellness issues, and always in conjunction with veterinarians. And before I say a little bit more about how I got into this, I want to just start by sharing a little bit about what I perceive animal communication to be. And I always like to start by comparing with communing with animals and communicating with animals. I believe that communing with animals is our birthright. We commune with animals, we communicate with our spiritual source, we communicate with loved ones, we communicate with children. I mean, we commune. We commune, and that is that place where it's heart to heart, it's being in the moment, it's being one with, at the same time, being your individual self, and it's being connected with the web of life and the greater whole. I believe we all do that, and I'm sure you've all experienced that in moments. Your cat's on your chest and you're having eye contact, and all of a sudden this thing happens, and it's this profound moment. Or you're walking with your dog, you're doing your off leash walk with your dog, and your dog comes and walks by your side completely from their own free will and choice, and you are one with them. And like, it's this amazing feeling, and many other explanations. And we all do that. And I think that experience tends to be spontaneous, although I believe it can be cultivated by being calm and peaceful, present in the moment, and that sense of openness and connection. And it's kind of a prerequisite for animal communication. But communicating with animals is getting in that state where they will open to you, which to me is the communion place. And communion to me is we're not in our heads, we're in our heart, we're in our soul, and we're in that body, in our senses, and experiencing that moment right now on this earth. Communicating means I have to go back into my head and translate or interpret, in some cases even, what the animal is sending me. So the question sometimes is, people ask me often, is how did you get into this? And I say this story every talk I give because I still find it quite miraculous. So I was a teacher for many years, and on the side, I did intuitive readings for people. And I had studied with some like earth guardianship and about animals and plants and nature and the earth and all these kinds of things for like 14 years. And 2 years after this dog you see in the picture, his name is Hinsa. 2 years after he died, I was meditating one morning, and he came to me in meditation in spirit, and he said, "You need to do animal communication." Literally, he said it just like that. And I thought, "What are you talking about? I don't do animal communication." And he insisted and insisted and insisted. So I looked into some books and did some experimenting, and I thought, well, by golly, I've been doing this for a long time. And so I started doing it. And then to reinforce and support this work, I then trained as a Healing Touch for Animals practitioner, and I just redid my 5-year recertification process. So I'm recertified in that. And in the last number of years, I've also been really working on adding sound or music healing as a process to my repertoire. So Hinsa taught me a lot. And one of the things that he taught me was that all behavior is communication. And I had some cats, and I started getting that message, but he was the one that really brought me to that. And I'll share with you sort of a big turning point for me. And this is something that, as an animal communicator, has been reinforced over and over and over for me. My story about this is that I came home from work one day, and he had torn a chunk out of the couch. You could imagine I was angry. I was looking at him, I was quite angry. And then he looked back at me with that look that they have, that knowing look, just very patiently looking at me with love and patience. And I came at him, what are you? And he just kept looking at me. And by that third time, when I was just coming unglued, I I really believe he sent me the pictures. He sent me the remembering of, like, remember, I tried to tell you, communicate with you in a gentlemanly fashion, and nothing. I got a little more assertive, he was saying. I got aggressive. And I had to resort to destructiveness to get your attention and let you know that you are not meeting your end of the bargain that we have, and my needs are not being met. And we had some agreements, that I would do certain things for him and he would do certain things for me, one of which was not being destructive, being cooperative. And once we established that and we did that, it really improved our relationship. So this is something that a lot of times people think that animals are kind of like people. Well, I think they are people with fur, feathers, and scales, but they're not human people. And so, a lot of times people will project onto animals human characteristics, and they can't think the way we do. They don't have, that's not how they're wired. That's not how they're coded. And on the other hand, people think, oh, well, they're just animals. They don't need, food, shelter, clothing. Well, they don't need clothing, but they don't need food or shelter. That they're sometimes don't understand that animals are like us. They need the same things, and not just food and shelter. Especially dogs, they need companionship. They need to be part of the pack. They need to have a relationship and emotional exchange. That's very important for them. But how do you know these things about your animals? How do you know what they really need? So I'm going to give you 3 tips. The first one is understand their species. I know it seems like a really like a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised. And I myself, when I first got cats, I didn't read books on cats. I just had them and I did what I thought I was supposed to do, made lots of mistakes. But it really does serve to realize that different species are wired differently. So, like, for dogs, it's like, just to know this about dogs, that we co-created them with nature, with God, however you look at that, and they were co-created, genetically. We I forget the word, but we got it so that they were not wild wolves, um, but we affected that process so they could serve us, so they could work for us. So for dogs to have a job is super, super important. And so to know that, because I've worked with lots of people who have had dogs that have acting out behaviors and they negatively reinforce, and they actually end up creating it so the dog gets like more aggressive and more aggressive. A simple thing, and I'll just say before I go on to that in my work, I work on a one-on-one. I work with the individual situation. I'm not a behaviorist, I'm not a trainer, and I think behaviorists and trainers are a really important part of the team because they really get the sense of what certain species need in a general sense, how they're lined up. But I do deal case by case. And many times I have encountered situations where people negatively reinforce. And negative reinforcement does work to affect behavior with dogs and with horses, but it is not the best way because they may not do the behavior because they don't want the pain, but they're still inside, they're still reacting to that thing. The best way to really work, I think, with all of our animal companions is positive reinforcement. Because once we teach them how to calm down, how to trust us, and we do need to teach them how to be calm because they don't necessarily know how to do that on their own. Then when they're calm and they encounter this thing that they would be reacting to, and what animals react to, we sometimes is so beyond us. It's like, really? Like, you've got to be kidding me. But they have different brains than we do. So by teaching them to calm down and then desensitizing them by introducing them a little bit at a time to these kinds of things, then they themselves will go, oh, well, that thing, oh, that's not really scary. Oh, okay. So then not only will they not react in the inappropriate behavior, but they won't be having that at all. It will be completely cleared. So to know that like for a dog, if they're having inappropriate behavior, I would say the number one thing to do, and I say this because I don't usually have cookie cutter kind of things, but given how many times I run into this, is find a task that they can do that you know they can succeed in, ask them to do it and reward them, and just let them know what a good boy or good girl they are. And oh, look at you. And that's why I really support dog training a lot, because you have all these commands that then they're doing, and you have an opportunity to reinforce them, and they have an opportunity to feel like, oh, I'm doing my job. And dogs need to feel confident. Dogs that don't feel confident are not happy dogs. They're not as cooperative. So that's like you can learn all this in reading books or going online and researching about dogs. Cats, their brains, we have we as humans, our brains are such that when we are triggered, we actually have the capacity to delay our response. Dogs, not so much. Cats, zip. So one of the things is that, if you do the research, negative reinforcement does not work with cats at all. It's just a torture situation for everybody. Positive reinforcement does, but the problem is they have like literally several seconds where they will associate whatever just happened with a positive reinforcement. So you have to be right on it if you're going to do treats. But the other thing that you can do with cats, I know they are not as praise oriented as dogs. Let's face it, that is true. However, they still like praise. When they like scratch on stuff, like they love it when you're like, oh, look at you. Like they just want you to look and see, like, look at my prowess, look at me. So they also like praise. It's just that they don't need it in the way a dog does. They like it. But one of the things that again and again I have encountered situations with, more so male cats, that spray or pee outside of the litter box. And I have had situations with animals that they are inside outside cats, and there were some spraying issues, and sometimes there were circumstances that we had to discover. But one of the strategies was to basically positively reinforce the behavior. So it's like, oh, sending them pictures of what you want them to do. So with animals in general, letting them know what you want them to do is really one of the things that I often suggest, which goes right into what I say every talk I ever give. This is another thing, is talk to your animals. And people say, well, what do you mean? I talk to my animals all the time. Yes, and that's really good. But specifically, talk to them about what you're doing and why. It's the same way that you would talk to your partner or your child, or whoever, a good friend, that's staying with you. You communicate, oh, I'm heading out, I'm doing this, this is what's going on for me. You just keep them apprised of what's going on, because they are a family member, and when they don't know what's going on, that causes insecurity for them. So and when you include them, they feel like they belong. And even cats, they like to know what's going on. So if you're going to yoga class, you're going to a dance class, and you go and work out, you come back, ooh, they can smell the endorphins on you. They like to know what's going on. And why are you doing that? You're going to the grocery store, all those kinds of things. So that's just the day to day, keeping them apprised. The second thing is that a lot of times I've known people who, when they went out of town, they would sneak out of their house so their dog wouldn't get anxious. And that's, I understand, but that actually ends up causing more anxiety. It's really important to let them know anything, if anything's changing, if you're going to be going out of town, if you're going to have visitors stay for a while, you've got people coming in to do remodeling. If you're changing jobs, or you're starting a new relationship and that person's going to become part of the family for at least some of the time, or if a relationship is ending, all those kinds of changes are really important to let them know. And talking to them is part of it, because when you talk, there's emotion in there, there's like a story in there, and they pick up on that. So that's and then the third thing that I always say to talk about is to let them know what you expect of them. And that goes back to, what's the behavior that you want from them? What What do they want to know what you expect of them. And and again, that helps them to feel much more secure. And it usually, and I always say with behavior issues, you redirect them towards the positive behavior again and again by talking about it, by showing them images, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. So this is tip number 2. Tip number 3 is listen to them. But then you would say, well, how do I do that? Well, no kidding. I mean, they don't speak English. Well, one of the things, again, and I'm going to rely on science and on research that's already been done that you can access. There's lots of stuff done about body language, animal body language. So that's one way that you can start understanding, what are they communicating? But I find body language hard to read personally. Now, what's a little bit easier for me is like the repertoire of sounds they make. With one of my cats, like I can tell that's the I'm stuck in the closet sound, or that's the I want something to eat sound, or so they have like different ways of expressing. But with animal communication, we're looking at them communicating in a way that's not language based per se, and that's not like physical, like the way that humans talk. And so, what I'd like to do today is actually take you through a little meditation and see if you can experience some of your own senses, get a reference point, and then we're going to bring in hopefully somebody in the audience. One of you will be willing to volunteer one of your animals, and we'll see if the animal is willing to be volunteered. And then we're going to bring that animal in and see if you can, just get a sense of how it is that your style of communicating with animals, what that style is for you, because it's different for different people. But before we do that, I'd like to pause for a moment and just thank you all for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting Marlene's. And I'd like to express my gratitude by, if you're interested, by sending you a little tip sheet I created for how to prepare for going on vacation or going away, how you can prepare your animals, what to do in advance and what to do while you're gone, to make it really much easier for them. And we're still in summer, and thank goodness we're finally out and about again. So if you're interested in that, please leave your information in the chat. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I'd like to offer is 3 what I call understanding your animals, uh, getting to know you sessions. And those are basically 30-minute complimentary sessions on the phone where you and I would talk about the top issues with your animal and then see, is there a fit for us to work together to do further work? If you're interested in that, please leave your information, your contact information in the chat as well. Just let me know you want the vacation checklist and you'd like we'll call it the discovery session. So those are a couple of things I would offer you. And then once I get folks letting me know they want that discovery session, I'll follow up and send you a little application with some questions in the next couple of days. So go ahead and do that in the chat if you'd like. So when I teach animal communication, one of the things I do is first have people experience their own reference point within themselves. So those reference points are how are we experiencing physically? How are we experiencing emotionally, mentally, and spiritually? I also have people really check in with their senses. What's going on a sense level? And sometimes it's just a matter of like, okay, if I just close my eyes and I listen, okay, I have a sense of sound. But what would happen if something shifted and then all of a sudden sounded sharper, or something changed in my hearing? That's an important thing to note. So that's one of the ways that I ask of you to start getting in touch with your senses and those 4 levels. And there aren't just 5 physical senses, but there are 5 what I call energetic senses. For example, right now I don't smell anything in this room, but if I have some dried roses, if I went and I smelled the roses, I go, oh yeah, that's roses. But what if there were no roses in the room and all of a sudden I could smell roses, and I knew it was coming from inside of my brain, inside of me. That's the energetic sense. We are able to see, feel sensations, taste, smell, and hear inside of, through energetics. And that's one of the ways that we communicate with animals, is through that energetic kind of a way where we're sensing in those levels that aren't necessarily physical. Although sometimes when I'm doing a session with an animal, and my first sessions with animals are always just me and the animal, and it's at a distance. And sometimes I'll get sensations like in my stomach, or like I'll have a little ear thing, and when I'm checking in with them, so I'm like, oh, they've got some ear, a little bit of ear discomfort, or a little stomach knot, or so I'll actually feel it physically. I try not to do that because I don't need to be feeling any more pain than the body normally does. But I've learned to stay separate from it. So there's lots of different ways, and each one of you is going to be different in how you do that. So some of you will like might feel like pressure, you might really feel it like physically, or you might feel like a sense of chill, even if you're not cold, and others of you may have like lots of pictures and stories, and some of you may also even have like you'll hear the animal talking to you in words. So you've got a built-in translator. We're all different. And what I will say to you is that I did work with humans doing intuitive readings for many, many years, and I think I developed my translator, from imagery, pretty well. And what I mean by imagery is anything that comes in on any of the senses. So, get hearing a sound, that's sound imagery. Seeing a picture is visual imagery. Smelling a rose that's not in the room is uh, olfactory imagery. So when I say the word imagery in this context, it just means like energetic input that's coming in. So what I'd like to do, and I hope you're all open to this, is I would like to take you through a guided meditation, and with just getting a reference point for yourself, and then I would like to ask for an animal volunteer. And so Elizabeth, if you're there, if you can sort of be the go-between for me, because I'm trying to make sure that everybody who's out there, we're not getting all kinds of images coming through. But if there's somebody, maybe we can do it through chat, who would like to see if their animal would volunteer to be a teacher for us in this exercise. So yeah.
Wonderful. I will keep an eye out on the chat box.
Okay, if you could do that. But I need to have that before we proceed. So,
Okay. Any folks would like to volunteer? Oh, wonderful. Mary P said, I'll volunteer my animal. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Zorka the cat? How cute.
okay.
Wonderful, Mary. Thank you.
And if is it possible to screen share a picture of Zorka just for us to have a picture of him or her? If not, that's okay.
Yes, and I think they're able to add files into the chat box as well. And she said yes. So we're going to wait a couple moments here. I'm going to check Facebook Live, see if there's any questions there. Nope, we're good there. All right, she's going to grab the picture. Oh, what a cute picture of the cat there raising his
Volunteer,
paw.
here we go. So as soon as we got the picture, we'll go ahead and impose that on this. And so, if you could let us know, Mary, how old Zorka is, the gender, that just helps to sort of place it in context.
nine years old.
Okay. And is Zorka a he or her? Her.
He.
Okay. So I think, and what color is Zorka?
Oh, black golden. Ooh, how pretty.
I'm not seeing Zorka.
Oh, I don't think she's posted the picture yet.
Okay.
Oh, and Lacey said I can also volunteer my cat if needed later.
Perfect, because we will need a dog and cat volunteer later.
Perfect. Yay. Oh, here I have it, she says. I think it will be coming up
Other
really soon.
option would be to put it in the chat also, if you can. I don't know if that's possible.
Yes, let me. I'm gonna also make her co-host and she should be able to share her screen. You're more than welcome to share it on the screen, Mary.
Excellent. Okay. Very good. So that's Zorka. And so let me just so Mary, if you could ask Zorka to if he that you would like for him to connect with me. Okay. Very good. And so I just checked in and he's willing to do that. So we always ask an animal, are they willing to connect? That's just a prerequisite. And are yes, he's willing to do this exercise with everybody. So Zorka, I'm going to ask you to just kind of hang in for a minute. Just we're going to do some a little bit first, and then I'm going to ask you to come in. And so I am just want you to know that I've created a sacred energetic space for us to do this work, and that so that only that which is for Zorka and everybody else's best and highest good may come to pass. So wanted to just kind of put that container on it. And then I'm going to ask those of you in the audience who are willing to participate in this process to just find yourself seated or reclining or however in a comfortable position. Take 3 deep breaths. And now perhaps close your eyes and settle in. And listen to the sounds outside your room or wherever it is that you are. Listen to the sounds inside the room. Listen to the sound of your own breath. And listen to the sound of your own heartbeat. And now go to your heart center, in the center of your chest, your heart chakra, and place there everything that you love. People, places, animals, memories, things, activities, anything and everything you love in your heart, and allow that love to become light. And when your heart is open and that light that is love is ready to spill out, allow that light that is love to saturate your whole being. All your systems, your nervous system, your cardiopulmonary, all the systems of your body. Your emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. Saturated with this light that is love. All your muscles, tissues, fibers, cells, all the way down to the bones, saturated with light that is love. And now, taking a portion of this light, send it down to the core of the earth and ask Mother Earth if you might anchor in, if you might ground in. Staying anchored to Mother Earth, to the core, staying grounded, bring some of that light back up through your feet, up your spine, and now allow this light that is love, that is held by the love of Mother Earth. Let this light saturate your whole being. As you are held, present, here, now, belonging on this earth with all of life. And notice how you are feeling right now physically. Notice any sensations. And notice how you're feeling emotionally. How are you feeling mentally? And how are you feeling spiritually? And now notice how you are experiencing your sense of taste and smell, both physically and energetically. How are you experiencing your sense of sight, physically and energetically? And you might want to just briefly open your eyes and just, what is that experience to see outside of, to just look and see? What do you see? How are you experiencing it? And then close your eyes. And are there any images that come up? Is there anything that pops in? And notice how you're experiencing your sense of hearing, physically and energetically. the sounds out around you sharp, soft, in the background? And are there any sounds inside of you that are not in this space that you're in, that you're hearing? And then how are you experiencing your sense of touch? Cold, hot, rough, smooth, moist, dry, physically and energetically. So we have now created a reference point of where we experience on these levels. Now we're going to ask Zorka, and as we've been working, he's quite intrigued. And so thank you very much, Zorka, for your willingness to work with us. And I ask that you connect with each person who is open in this work, who's doing this and wants to connect with you. I would ask that you connect with each of them in the way that you feel is works for you. So it may be different with different people. Are you willing to do that? Yes, he is. Thank you so much, Zorka. So now we're going to go through this same practice, but take a moment and maybe your own from your own self, thank Zorka for his willingness to work with you. And ask him if he would be willing to connect with you in whatever way he sees fit. And then notice if anything's changed right off the top. Has anything changed since you've made that connection? And so notice right now, how are you feeling physically? How are you feeling emotionally? And how are you feeling mentally? And how are you feeling spiritually? How are you experiencing your physical and energetic senses of taste and smell? Any differences from before? How are you experiencing your sense of hearing, physical and energetic? How are you experiencing your senses, your physical energetic sense of seeing, sight? Try opening your eyes for a second, and do you see differently at all? Maybe not. I think sharper or duller or softer. And then how are you experiencing your physical and energetic sense of touch? Is it enhanced? Is it lessened? Is it the same? It's all information. And so we're going to wrap up. But before we do, ask Zorka if there's anything he would like to share with you. And be open to whatever that might appear to be, however he communicates that to you. And thank Zorka for his willingness to work with you today. And then take your hands and put them on your heart center and just connect. This is me. And then say, thank you, Zorka. And you can go about your way, and that's you. So that we're going to make that separation. And then listen to the sound of your own heartbeat. Listen to the sound of your own breath. Listen to the sounds inside the room. And listen to the sounds outside the room. And for those people who will be joining us at a later date, Zorka has said he is open to doing this with you as well, but you will have to ask him, and he may or may not be available, so that you can still follow this meditation. You can do it with Zorka, and you can perhaps ask another animal if they're willing to do that, if you want to practice this. So thank you very much, Mary, for sharing Zorka's photo. Yes, please do stop at this time. Very good. And then let me come back to there we go, right here. Okay, so that's a starting place for how you can start really learning to pick things up from your animal. So the next thing I want to do is I actually want to demo for you a little bit with, I'll just do a little mini animal communication I'd like to do with the cat and with the dog tonight, so that you can get a sense of how that works. So Lacey, you had a cat volunteer, and is there someone out there with a dog volunteer?
Be shy, folks.
Okay, so we've got Tilly, and then and you know, I'm sorry because of the way that we're recording this. Normally, I would like people to share a little bit about what they got, but by the nature of that, it's not going to work. But if you want to put it in the chat, that would be really great, particularly the message that you got from Zorka, because then we can go ahead and share that with Mary, and she can, then possibly be in touch about whether that, to give you some confirmation. All right, so why don't we go for Tilly, and then we can go back to a cat. So, um, Tilly's mom, can you give us a photo of Tilly? Ah, okay, so you're calling. So if you can just tell me what kind of dog she is, I assume, how old, and we'll take it from there. Okay. So does the so because of the awkwardness of the pausing, and I'd like to have this be a little smoother for everyone, all the audience folks, is the person with the cat, do you have a cat picture available so that we can then do that and then work with Chili? Is that a possibility?
I do have photos, but I also have my cat right here.
Okay. But I can't see you with your cat, so let's see. Ah, where are you? um oh, Lacey, there you are. If you could just show me your kitty. Okay, and who's your kitty?
Her name is Aiko.
Aiko. Okay, and how old is she or he?
4 months. 3 months.
A youngster. And Aiko is a she or a he?
She.
Okay, so Aiko, she. Okay, so ask her. You could just ask her. In your mind, or say to her, "I'd like you to be open to talking with Lessa."
I'm not sure if she's too terribly happy with that. She's meowing at me and telling me to put her down.
So you can put her down, and she doesn't have to be held for that at all. But ask her if she's willing, if she would be willing to do that. I've got to look. I've got a sense of her now. It's for some reason the visual is important for me. Very good. Okay. So yes, she is. She's very curious about this. All right. All right. So because of time, Elizabeth, would you be willing to like time me about 3 minutes so we have 3 minutes with a kitty and 3 minutes with a dog,
Yes,
and
definitely.
a little bit of time for Q&A? Well, hi, Aiko. You're a youngster. So youngsters, we'll see because most I don't usually get young animals coming to me because they're doing pretty well. But okay, so first I'm just going to say that this, whatever your beliefs are, we could say this is a metaphor. I call on my guides. I call on Aiko's guides. I call on Lacey's guides and all the guides who are in the family home, of all the folks who are in the family home and the territory guides. And I ask, please come. And that only that which is for Aiko's best and highest good and for the best of all concerned may come to pass. And then I'm just going to ask Aiko, yes, um, um, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting the gender. She? Yes, okay. She's definitely willing. She's very curious. And she's showing me right off the bat that you and she communicate. That there's stuff going on. So this is not new for her. So you may not be aware that you're doing that with her, but she's aware that you're doing that with her. So that's the first thing that comes out. Um, and then I'm just going to ask her if there's anything she'd like to share. Well, she said I just did. Okay. So the next thing I'm just going to go through, Aiko, how are you feeling physically? She's kind of like this excitement of being in her body and wanting to use it and feel it. It just so feels good and exciting. Um, and she likes climbing up high. And how about emotionally? How are you feeling emotionally? The world is a wonder, she said. It's just so interesting. This is so much fun. And mentally, when I ask for mentally with an animal, I ask, um, where is your attention, inside or outside of yourself, or both? And normally both in a balanced way is what we're looking for, but let's see what she's got. She's more interested on the outside right now. She's more aware of what's around her. She's sometimes it's developmental phase, sometimes it's some stress levels causing people or cat people to be more inner or outer oriented. Sometimes it's also the time of day or the moment they're in, but she's definitely focused on what's going on outside in the moment. And she does have her zoning times when she goes inward. Um, and she just is showing me she wants, if she doesn't have a place where she could be up high, she would like that. But this is like the second or third time she's showing me up high, up high. And then spiritually, how are you feeling spiritually, Aiko? So she's just, there's a sense of joy and wonder. And she says, I'm something like, I'm so happy to be here again. I'm so happy to be here. And then is there anything else you'd like to share? And do you have a message for Lacey? She, I mean, she's very happy to be with you. So this is a little bit of an uneventful read because she's so young and she's so happy, and you and she have a real connection. So it's just, that makes it really easy. It's like, oh yeah, happy, happy, happy. So that's what I'm getting with Aiko. So thank you very much, Aiko, for sharing yourself with us. And thank you, Lacey. And I'm just separating out. And I'll just note that I'm I realize that sometimes we will go right into issues when we do these demos, but it's sometimes hard for the animals. So I'm kind of keeping it just a little bit more generic, because to respect them and time and all that other thing. So is Tilly ready to be on the screen? That would be great.
Yes. Tilly's there.
Can you see Tilly?
I can't see Tilly.
Oh, I don't. There. I can see her on the married.
There we go. Okay, perfect. I stopped my share. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So you've asked Tilly to work with me already, that which that you told her you want her to connect with me?
Do you want to connect with her?
So basically say I would like for you to connect with Lessa.
I would like you to connect with Lessa. That's the Lessa right there.
Okay. And so I will great. So now I'm going to do the same thing for my guides, for Tilly's guides. And you're Mary, right?
Yes.
Okay, and Mary's guides. And do you have other family members?
Her Tilly's sister is here.
And what's her name?
Trini. Trinny.
Okay, so we're asking for my guides, for Tilly's guides, for Mary's guides, for Trini's guides, and for the territory guides to please be present, and to support only that which is for Tilly's best and highest good, and for the best of all concerned to happen as we do this little mini reading. Very good. All right, so Tilly, are you willing to do this? Yes, but she's a little nervous.
Yeah, I was going to say her heart rate went up.
Yeah. All right. So, Tilly, you don't have to share anything that you don't want to, okay? Yeah. So, we'll start by just asking you, is there anything you'd like to share? And we're doing this so that Mary, your mom, has a better way understanding of how she might connect with you, and for all the rest of us, because we really love oh, very good relaxing yawn. Yes. We love canine people very much, and we want to honor them, and we want to learn from you because I know you have a lot to teach us. So we'd be willing to hear anything that you have to share. Okay, so I'm just going to start by asking you, is there anything you'd like to share? Something like, I, I'm an elder and I'm a wise matriarch. Yes, you are. And what more would you like to say? Okay, so I'm not really getting anything right now, so I'm going to go proceed with to ask you how you're feeling physically right now. So I get this nervous and excited, um, a little heaviness in the lower belly. And how old did you say she was, Mary?
They're 8.
8. Yeah, okay.
I've
So,
had them for 6 months. They're rescue dogs.
ah,
And she just had 13 teeth pulled. That's why she looks funny.
ah, yeah, well, that's really uncomfortable.
They
So
were really
that makes
messed up.
sense because, but I'm also getting there's tension. Like I was gonna say, I don't. She seems kind of young for arthritis, but there was a sense of like along her joints and spine and along there was like tension, and the fact that she's a rescue, it could take up to 2 years, in my experience, for rescues to really settle in, so that's not a long time at all. So she's still, her body's still decompressing. So, so thank you for that information, because that can give us a little context to see if we can help her to relax some. Yeah. And so, how are you feeling emotionally? So she's grieving. It's interesting. I This comes up sometimes, um, with female dogs. So has she been spayed?
Yes, they're both spayed.
And were they spayed a long time ago or recently?
I think a long time ago.
Okay, but it feels like there's sometimes with female animals, these themes come up that sometimes they grieve that they don't have the capacity to reproduce. And I feel like there's a little bit that all the changes that she's been through lately, it's triggering something about, like, whether it's her mom, her relationship with her mom or the lack of relationship with her babies that she never had. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. That's part of you, what you came here to do. That's right. And you didn't get to do it. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know.
It's kind of like me too. I was messed up.
Yeah. And so now you get to be the baby and the mom to your new person. Now you get to learn how to do that. Yeah. Hmm. And how are you feeling mentally? So where is your focus? And so what I get from her is this sense of aspiring to find that love that she is here for, and that she's putting her attention to that, in a sense, into you and the household, and just, she's putting attention to finding a way to do that.
Yeah, she's my dog from a past life. She was a German Shepherd named Sparky, and she wanted to come back. And my angel told me, um, if you get a dog, you'll be in the love energy, and then that'll attract a mate for me. So I think she's maybe that's part of what she's working on.
And maybe, but what I'm getting is this is more about her establishing with you, and that it's still in progress, and she's really a lot of her attention is going there. And then how are you feeling spiritually? There's a relief because she feels she's on the right path now, that she's got a place where she can come into her best self. Yeah. And so is there anything, Tilly, that you would like to share with us before we wrap up? Just this sense of she's in process, in transition. You know, that all these things that she's experienced are like they're in her body, like she's got emotional patterns and physical, all these pattern, all these things from her story, and it's going to take her a little while to clear those out. And so that's what we're doing. Um, so I know we're already over time, and Elizabeth, how are we to stay a few minutes over?
Yes, we can definitely stay a couple minutes over to help answer any questions our wonderful attendees might have. And I'm going to also reshare. I had shared your email address earlier in the chat box, but I'll go ahead and
That
enter
would be
that
great.
again.
Thank you. And so I want to thank you, Tilly and Mary, and I want to
Can I
just
ask a
separate.
question about her sister dog?
What's their question?
Well, they were trained to pee and poop on the bed, and I think I've gotten that out of them, but Tilly never did it, but her sister did it like 5 times, and I'm wondering if we're done with that and what, if they're okay with it, not doing that anymore.
And I can't know that at this point, you know.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm not, this isn't a predictive kind of thing. And I would just say that keep reinforcing and sending imagery of the desired behavior. So, yeah, that's what I would say. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Um, I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. And so we've got just one little section for question and answer. So I'll take some questions if anybody has questions.
Mary wanted to know if what folks did hear from Zorka. Any observations? I submitted mine in the chat box here. And welcome to unmute yourselves and interact.
Anybody want to share what you got from Zorka?
oh, I think I had.
We're going to give it another moment here and then move on to any other questions. Okay, wonderful. Michelle said thank you, and she'll be giving you an email later.
Sounds great. Look forward to hearing from you.
Yay.
So any other questions, anybody?
Yes, Mary said, what did you hear from Zorka?
Uh, Basically, what I heard was that he was very interested. I got from him because I wasn't asking him anything. So, but while I was doing the meditation, he was very interested he really liked it when humans got like when I did the part where, you're going down to the earth and grounding, he was like, ah, like it was like he really liked that humans were connecting with the earth and that he felt closer to humans when we were doing that, when we're grounded in that. And then we were doing that exercise, he was like, ah, he really liked that. And then he offered, um, because then then he picked up on my thoughts. I was thinking, okay, so there are going to be people who are going to watching this video, later on. And I thought, well, I wonder. And then he said, I could do that. I could be available because they're going to have my picture. And if I'm available, I'll be happy to do that with them. So that's about what I got from him because I wasn't, basically, I wasn't really asking him questions. If I were to ask him questions, he might or might not give me some answers. So yeah,
I got that connection with the earth too. He can feel the buzzing and earth vibes. That's what I wrote down.
yeah, definitely.
And he can just a buzz in his paws. There's a right above the right ear pressure and a jaw pressure
Beautiful.
and a waxy taste. I don't know what that is. It might be a dry tongue but wet teeth.
Hmm. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mary.
And he's okay mentally and emotionally. I think he's okay.
The Mary P said, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Any more questions while we have our wonderful animal communicator presenter here with us? We're just so super grateful for each and every one of you being here and then also watching the recorded version. And big shout out to our lovely presenter, Lesia Alexander. Thank you so much. It's always an honor working with you.
Back at you, and big shout out for Marlene's for the wonderful service that not just, the educational part, but just all of Marlene's is such a great, um, just such a great service for our community. Yeah.
And thank you for being a part of it.
Well, my pleasure. My pleasure. So, any more questions before we wrap up?
Wonderful. I'm going to add Mary to the list of sending the travel tip list and the discovery session. So I'll add that to the email.
Perfect. Perfect. All right then. I like to be mindful of time to honor everybody's commitments. So what do you say, Elizabeth? We wrap it up?
Yeah, we could definitely wrap it up. And thank you, everyone. Take good care. And Mary said, thank you so much for class.
You're very welcome.